new technology to keep an eye on. This section of the show, what I like to do is talk about new technology and that sort of thing. Things like auto tech, alternative fuel technologies, environmental technologies, things that impact the environment, hacking and security technologies, high-tech technologies, and many other things that are possibly related to technologies or might help innovate, or even some general things like I'm going to talk about today some things about the environment and the gas price, and then feature two alternative energy type inventions. So the first topic I have here is gas prices are taking a big effect, and I do have some screen art here to go along with this. Let me bring that up here. It's not that one, but it is this here. So as you can see by these charts here, so gas prices are taking a big effect. 11 billion fewer miles were driven this month, March. It seems that the high gas prices are finally having an effect on the U.S. for a while. So it says for a while, people have gotten used to the cheap gas prices, but now it's starting to catch up with this. And it looks like less expensive gas prices are finally starting to change habits. The story goes on to say that it's been some 25 years since 1979 since we've ever had a drop in the miles traveled over the month of March. So this is the first time, and you can see by that chart there, it's basically reflecting that the drop corresponds to 11 billion less miles traveled in the United States. So over the first quarter in 2008. So with greenhouse gas emissions from transportation sector have also dropped some 9 million metric tons compared to the past year. So because of gas prices, we're actually saving our environment a little bit. So if you wanted to think about something positive about the gas prices, you can think that people are driving less, and it's being reflected on our environment. The chart on the screen there currently is showing transportation in rural areas and the drop. And then if we go to another chart here it is in urban areas, and kind of showing the drop over the last year at the same time. So again, I'll have the link to this entire news story in chat here. But it says, when it goes on to say it has the breakdown of both rural areas traveled over the last 3 years. So if you're interested in this, you can check out more information in the link in the show notes. But 11 billion fewer miles driven during this March compared to last year. So, and then here the next topic I have is $8 a gallon. So I found a story poking around that says here 8 reasons that higher gas prices will do us a world of good. And it says, shouldn't we be technologically advanced enough here in the 21st century to quit siphoning off the pus of the earth? Regardless of whether you believe global warming is threatening to the planet's future, you must admit that it's a crude passé. Americans should be celebrating rather than shredding over the arrival of $4 a gallon gasoline. We've lived on cheap gas far too long and failed to innovate, and we now face the consequences of competing for a finite resource amid the fast expanding global demand. So it goes on to say, that in Europe, gas has reached $8 a gallon apparently, and it costs some $200 to fill a large SUV tank. So it's going to make a big shock when we all have to start paying, $200 to fill our tank. I filled mine in our family minivan the other day, and it cost me $80. So I don't look forward to it, but guaranteed it's having some positive impact because we're all driving less, and it's going to force us to innovate, force us to look at things like hybrid vehicles and that sort of thing. So these 8 reasons, I'll have the link in the show notes, but let me just rip through them real quick. Number 1 was, the elimination of the internal combustion engine. So we're looking at alternative fuels, whether it's going to be compressed air or whatever. I'm just going to go through these. Also, economic stimulus. So it's gonna have an impact on the government because we're looking to innovate. Wither the Middle East clout. So if we can stop having such a dependency on oil and such, we wouldn't have such a demand to buy the oil from the Middle East. So deflating oil, what is this, potence? So just the contamination it does to the environment. Mass transit development. So with $8 a gallon, we're all looking at ways to save money. So a lot more people are looking at mass transit and considering that as a viable alternative where everyone, we're kind of like it said, we were spoiled by the cheap gas price for far too long and driving our big fat SUVs all over and not having it cost us too much. So mass transit development, I know we're doing great things on that in Seattle. Okay, so it's also an antidote to sprawl. So you might have heard the term urban sprawl. All these go into way more detail. I don't have the detail in front of me. But, urban sprawl, we're living out and commuting 100 miles back and forth. This is going to force us to, build in more of a consolidated area so everyone doesn't have to commute. It's also going to allow employers to allow beautiful things like I get a telecommute every single day and work from home. So it's going to allow things like that, the ability for geeks like myself to telecommute, and be persuaded. Also, so it says the restoration of financial discipline and then the easing on global tension. So with all that stuff, it's good things, and those are eight good reasons why higher gas prices will do us a world of good from the American perspective. So just something I wanted to share with you. So let's move on here. This is pretty cool. So talking about innovation and how it's going to force us to become more technologically advanced. Here's one cool innovation, nano vent skin. It says there's nothing like a towering wind turbine to inspire NIMBY, which I believe is a city in Mexico, I believe. Sentiment from the neighbors on the city council alike are entering a striking new alternative energy concept by a Mexican-born Agustin Octagui, who works with the economics of a much smaller on a much smaller scale. He has convinced, or he has convinced, he has conceived the next generation nano vent skin that she's structures in a shimmering solar weave studded with micro turbines. The concept takes advantage of the structure's maximum available surface space and its modular composition to allow it to retrofit to our old buildings instead of pouring resources into new ones. So this is pretty cool. Plus the stunning superstructure incorporates 2 microorganisms that soak up CO2. So that's just one example. Here's another picture of what he's doing. And then here's another one that you can notice it's kind of like a fabric with the micro wind turbines embedded through that fabric. So it goes on to say first it soaks up the sunlight through the photovoltaic layer and then transfers the energy to wires to the storage units at the end of each panel. Second, it looks like a tiny turbines employ polarized organisms to create a chemical reaction, generating power each time the turbine makes contact with the structure. And the story just goes on to talk about good stuff. It says Ostagui may reside at the far end of the future, forward thinking for now, but it presents some exciting concepts that may surface as science and technology work together to converge our existing energy systems. So pretty cool stuff. I look forward to watching, and continuing to try to be involved with alternative energy, and that's just one example of what's going on with alternative energy. Wind turbines combined with photovoltaic cells in microturbines to create an amazing type of energy producing technology. So one other thing here. This is another. This is number 4 of hot new technology to keep an eye on. So this is a super efficient floating wind turbine from Magin. This wind turbine, I think, comes out of Canada. The wind turbines at ground level, wind turbines like standard wind turbines, like windmills on the ground, produce energy at a rate of 20 to 25% compared to these wind turbines placed at altitudes from 6,000 to 1,000 feet can have energy output that can be double that of ones that are land-based. It goes on to say, yeah, Ottawa-based Magin Power is in prototype stages of the world's first floating wind turbine. And it says centrifugal blades on the Mars, I guess they're calling it, can